Everyone, we're going to get started in a second. Just let us know where you're from in the chat. Welcome so much, everyone. Thank you for joining us for today's ILEAFORUM event. My name is Gwendolyn McNutt, and I am the chair of the ILEA Professional Development Committee. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here today. Today, we'll be presenting Broadening Your Value Proposition, the Role and Importance of Supplier Diversity and Procurement, powered by Giants Enterprises. ILEA is proud to team up with longtime partner Giants Enterprises to create relevant, timely, and high-quality webinar content for our community as we support our industry through recovery. Giants Enterprises is dedicated to the curation and development of new ventures complementary to the San Francisco Giants franchise by delivering larger-than-life experiences to millions at Oracle Park and beyond. Giants Enterprises creates memorable events abundant with excitement and engagement, both virtually and in person, for their varied partners, as well as local and international visitors. Positioned at the intersection of sports, entertainment, meetings, events, tourism, and hospitality, Giants Enterprises provides the rare combination of people, experiences, and platforms necessary to create giant impressions. Thank you again, Giants Enterprises. I have just a couple of housekeeping notes before we begin. We will be recording today's session and posting it on the ILEA Hub. If you have any questions during the presentation, please type them into the Q&A, and we'll get to some of them at the end of the discussion. Also, please share your thoughts and join in the always interesting conversations in the chat. And finally, we'd love for you to share your thoughts and experiences on social media using the hashtags ILEA Webinar Wednesday and ILEA Welcomes All. Now, after a short introduction, I'll hand things over to today's moderator, Bonnie Smith. Bonnie Smith is founder and CEO of Studio B Entertainment. She is a brand experience expert, DEI, and small business advisor and master connector. She is an established expert in the marketing and media industry with a unique combination of 18 plus years of experience as a brand and agency marketer. She has been recognized as a revenue-driving, brand-building, and results-oriented marketing professional and strategic partner. She is known for developing some of Red Carpet Season's most high-profile events for Entertainment Weekly, Essence, People in Espanol, including the Sundance Film Festival, the Pre-Emmy Party, and the Island Def Jam Grammy Party. Bonnie's creative agency, Studio B designs and produces diverse events and experiences authentically and effectively connecting brands to consumers by celebrating the lives of unique and vivid women. Studio B is also proud to be nationally certified by the Chicago Minority Supplier Development Council. Please welcome today's moderator, Bonnie Smith.
Well, thank you so much, Gwen and ILEA. I'm so excited to be here today and with our panelists. We have a great conversation. This is something that hits very close to home for me as a business owner and obviously as an entrepreneur as well. And so with that, I'll kind of get into what we're here to talk about today. First, I just want to start off, we are a live events industry, and we know that we are facing some unique challenges as an industry during this time. But one thing that I think is really important to remember and to acknowledge is that we also have a unique opportunity to come together and to bring back those amazing experiences that we create together with our teams, with our diverse teams, but also those human connections, those one-on-one connections where we're using all of our senses and coming back together. So although we face unique challenges, we have a lot of unique opportunities. And part of our discussion today is going to talk about how we can come together and basically solve for those challenges with these opportunities. So in this well-timed and candid discussion, we'll examine how supplier diversity and procurement broadens a company's value proposition. We're going to be diving into the benefits of embedding diversity and inclusion practices into supplier selection procedures. Also, of course, explore collaboration. How do we help each other? Best practices, and then the role of diversity supplier programs in procurement of goods and services. So with that said, I would love to introduce our panelists today. Very excited. First, I would like to introduce Michelle Fanus. So hello, Michelle. Michelle is the founder of the conference director. She is also a certified ethnic minority business supplier in the UK. So it's a little bit later there for Michelle, but we're so glad to have you. So the conference director is a boutique market research firm and does industry insight consultancy that offers target market definition research, community engagement strategies, models of monetization, and more. Michelle helps her clients review, rethink, and redefine their event strategies. But she's also a university lecturer at the University of West London. She's an author and a speaker. And in addition to her over 19 years of event design and project delivery experience, Michelle's lectured on event management at several universities across the UK, teaching more than 200 students on degree courses and also several of her own private courses. So she's worked with global corporate companies, celebrities, government ministries, and key pioneers in different fields, and has designed and delivered events globally, all over the world. So welcome, Michelle.
Thanks for having me. Hi.
Hello. So also we have on the phone with us today is, or joining us today is Constance Jones. So hello, Constance. And Constance is the Senior Director of Network Delivery Services at the National Minority Supplier Development Council, where she serves as a liaison between 23 affiliate councils and their leadership teams at the Nmsdc. So she's been a part of the Minority Business Development Program for over 20 years. So folks, we have a lot of experience on at this event today. So get your questions ready. But as long as she can remember, Constance has had an affinity for business, and she's dedicated her life to helping entrepreneurs and aspiring entrepreneurs build successful and thriving businesses. She has volunteered all over with the Minority Business Development Agency, the United States Small Business Association or Administration, the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, the NAACP, and the National Urban League. And amongst other accolades, she was named in the top 30 influential women of Houston and recently nominated as the 2020 Women of Business for the Houston Business Journal. So congratulations and welcome, Constance.
Thank you.
Wonderful. So I know we may have another panelist joining us and hopping in later, but we're going to go ahead and get right into the discussion today. So I will start with, for both of you really, you know, you both bring such a unique point of view to this conversation. So from a corporate lens, you know, entrepreneurship, small business, and then of course, a leading corporate membership and network organization to help suppliers grow their business. So let's just start with the big question is, from your perspective, how does supplier diversity and procurement broaden a company's value proposition? And Michelle, I'll start with you and also talk about why it's so important for growth.
Yeah, so I think it's diversity is always good for business, right? We've heard that so much, but in reality, it's about broadening the people in your workforce, therefore being able to communicate more effectively with your customers and your clients, understanding your customer base more better, and being able to develop copy and stuff like that that's a bit more fitting. And it also shows that you have a really, really open culture, and you know, in terms of who you want to embrace and have within your workforce and who you want to work with. So I think diversity and inclusion is ultimately got to be good for business, ultimately.
Absolutely. And Constance, what are your thoughts there?
Yeah, I definitely echo what Michelle said. Diversity and inclusion is very important. And we notice and see that when we choose to embrace diversity and inclusion, it makes for a much better relationship, a stronger supply chain, and just an overall better experience for everyone that's involved. You see that diversity really encourages a lot of idea exchange, and think about the differences that we bring to the table and how well that makes our products or our services or just our daily interactions with people. Think of the monotony it will be if everybody was the exact same and everybody had the exact same thought.
Absolutely.
So that's really the importance of having diversity and inclusion within major corporations as well as within our own businesses.
And I think that's key. And we're actually going to touch on that. Something that you guys, both of you brought up is the diversity drives innovation, right? And we know there are studies now and there's hard data that shows that there is a business case for it. From a bottom line perspective, the business case shows that companies that are more diverse and racial diversity, ethnic diversity, but also gender diversity are actually performing better than those that aren't. But what's also interesting, and I think you guys can lend some perspective there when we talk about value proposition, and which leads to brand equity, is there's also a moral compass within that as well. So your value prop brings your mission to life and how we integrate diversity and inclusion and whatnot into the kind of soul of our business also helps the bottom line. So, you know, going back to that, Constance, I think one of the things that you do so well and what your role is helping suppliers differentiate themselves to grow their business, to become certified. And that is one of a key differentiator, right? To help that first step into accessing more opportunities. So can you first speak a little bit more on what the Nmsdc is for folks on the phone who may be new to this, and then share further detail on some of the ways that the organization helps companies and suppliers build their business?
Sure. So the National Minority Supplier Development Council is an organization, is a corporate member organization that's focusing on being the supply chain leader for major corporations and allow them the ability to do business with our minority business community. So we certify ethnic minority firms and help them do business with major corporations, government agencies, and educational institutions. And we do that by focusing on 4 key areas. As Bonnie mentioned, we are a certification entity. So we certify, develop, connect, and advocate. That's what we do on behalf of our minority businesses in order to ensure that we are that direct link with those major corporations who are looking to do business with corporate America. So with that, a part of the development resources that we do is provide education resources. We actually help the regional councils actually help their certified businesses understand what is a value proposition. A lot of people get it confused with just explaining what it is that they do. And that's not really what value you bring to the table. So our regional councils actually look at what are the issues and concerns that our businesses have or that's stopping them from being a good supplier for our corporate members and bridging the gap between the need and the request.
That's amazing. I think that's a lot. It's a lot of information. I actually wrote it down because certify, develop, connect, and advocate. I think it's really important to take notes on that because we can dive in a little bit more on some examples for that. So Michelle, you are certified. You're a business owner. Help us understand a little bit first what that difference is. We're here in the US. You're in the UK. Being certified may be a little bit different, but we know we have global members, so we want to talk about that. But then also share your experience. What has being certified done for you as a business owner, but also to help grow your business?
Okay, so so the difference is that minority and diversity engagement and providing business to minority businesses is mandated in the US, where it's more a nice to have in the UK. So we have various networks and associations a little bit like Constance's association, which is MSD UK, Minority Supplier and Diversity UK, which is the organisation I'm a certified supplier with, and they are really just flying the flag for diversity businesses and showcasing our talent and offering us as like fantastic suppliers into the corporate space. But they don't have to do business with us. It's more if they feel that it's something they're missing out on. As we've said in the beginning, they know that they're missing out on. They know that it's good for business, but it's not a mandate. It's not something they have to do. It's not in law anywhere or in a tree. It's something that they wish to do. What it's done for me is given me visibility, credibility for sure. Some of the conversations I've had in the past or I'm having now, I would never get to have if I wasn't a member, because it would take me quite a long time to A, reach the right person, and B, get to have a conversation with them. So the visibility, the access, I mean, even sitting on this panel today, that was I was referred or recommended by MSD UK. So, you know, the visibility, the recommendation is really what you get out of it. And the other thing I'll say is that it's also quite a long game as well. Procurement can take quite some time. It's not something that happens overnight. And that's the other thing, that there's the education piece, as Constance was saying, where we get trained or advised on how procurement works and understanding the whole sort of procurement landscape. So it's been a real education for me, understanding how that all works. And I also understand it's a long game. So
yes, it is a long game, and there's a lot of different procedures and best practices, and each company and each industry, each department is unique. So I actually think that that's a really great segue into speaking about, from the company side, what are some of the things you've learned from them, like what they're looking for, and what are some of the things that you navigated, that you learned about going through procurement? And I'd love for both of you to answer that, because I think for Constance, you're working to connect us with the companies, so you can kind of maybe speak to some things that you hear from them, what they're looking for, maybe what their challenges are. And then Michelle, yourself, tell us a little bit about navigating those different procurement departments.
It's interesting because it can really change from one organization to another. I think the first thing as a supplier is to really understand the role that procurement plays in the organization and how much influence they have. Because in some organizations, they really are a simple department, actually, and they don't really have much influence. Whereas in other organizations, they are very influential. They're part of the decision-making process. So I think that is the first thing to understand. What role does the procurement department play in the company, and how influential are they? Are they the decision makers? Are they influencers? Or are they pretty much just referrers? Because it really can vary. And I've learned to be able to ask those questions and get that understanding quite early on. And that's really only through going through the different training courses with MSD UK. And the other thing is to also, as I said about the long game, to constantly keep in touch. I mean, I think I'm close to contracting now, but I had a first conversation about 2 years ago. It's taken me 2 years. It took about a year to get a reply to my email. I had an initial conversation, which she said, you know, it sounds good, send me an email. I sent her the email, and it took me about a year to get a reply to that email. I just had to keep chasing. And then I used MSD UK where I could to chase and prod and, you know, and understand if there's any changes or anything like that. So that, as I say, you have to use your resources and be quite persistent as well. Persistence is key.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And Constance, working with the company, or working with the affiliates across the country, what is your perspective or advice around how to navigate different procurement departments?
Yeah, I think Michelle hit it right on the head. Although Michelle lives across the waters from us, I think some of the same issues and challenges that occur in the UK is right here, is very applicable to the firms here in the US as well. You have some supplier diversity programs that are very sophisticated, and so they have a lot of influence when it comes to purchasing and decision making. And then you have some that are in their initial stages, and so they're still trying to find their way and understand why this is, and still making a business case of why this is important for their organization. So I think it's a lot of the education and learning and trainings that they too undergo through the regional affiliates that's helping them understand how to effectively utilize an organization like ours in order to really be competitive and find the right supplier. I think the topic that we're talking about today is also very strategic to this whole discussion about integrating within supply chain. Many organizations come to these major corporations and want to do business with them. They unfortunately don't have the bandwidth to actually do business with everyone that approaches them. So you have to be able to find a way to show them that you're going to bring the best value to their organization, as well as creating that strategic one-stop shopping source for them. That is what we hear from our corporate members. They want to be able to take a supplier and do business with them across the national network. They don't want to have to manage multiple contracts and or multiple suppliers. They want to find capacity. And so there's several different ways that on the supplier side, you can do that. But the first thing first is being able to navigate and be positively persistent, like Michelle said, to show them why you should be integrated into their supply chain and procurement initiatives.
Yeah, all of this is so wonderful. I'm taking my own notes because I want to hit on a few things that you said. So obviously I'm an entrepreneur, we're a small business, we've navigated multiple procurement departments across global brands. And to hit on what you guys both said, the cycle, right? Kind of looking at that sales cycle, it's around 18 months or more.
Yeah.
And going back to your value prop is seeing where you can help them innovate. So Michelle, that was key in saying, what is their role? And their procurement role at each organization is going to be different. So if they're an influencer or a referral, how can you make their job easier?
Yes.
And that could be a simple question of I love this question. An old client of mine used to always ask it. What does help look like? It could be a one-pager. What could help look like could be, do you have any new innovations or services or products that you have? Are you participating in a discussion like this that you can invite them to? So going back to Constance, what you're saying is in terms of being positively persistent, it's not always asking and following up to ask for something. It's giving them something valuable in return that helps further their own education around this whole topic. So I think you hit on a lot of key things. And one thing that I'd love for you to expand on is you said they're looking to find capacity. What does that mean? Can you expand on that a little bit more? Give an example.
Sure. So I think this is a great discussion talking about that, as I met Michelle, and Michelle has mentioned our global link partner, which is MSD UK. She is able to now do international programs by being able to align herself with one of our global partners, and which will allow her to expand her capabilities to do business in the US. And she could actually look at doing business across the other continents that we actually have supply diversity organizations in. And so that allows and open up the possibilities of Michelle, because now she's just not limited to doing business in the UK. She can take a client that she, or a few clients that she had in the UK, that if they have business in the US and they need a meeting planner or conference director, they will be able to utilize Michelle without having to go to someone else. That's very helpful, because as a supplier, when you build that trust, it also gives them the ability to continue to grow you as a firm, so that you're able to increase your capacity and your level of doing business with other organizations. And so when we look at capacity building, it's not just from the perspective of monetary, although that is helpful, but it's also your reach. Can you do business not just in the US, but outside of the US? Can you help with some of their goals and initiatives that they may have that's not included in just US bound? And so that's really what expanding your capacity and reach means.
This is so important. And I love this. And I'll tell you guys, I've been a minority business supplier for almost 6 years now. And we were having our discussion and it doesn't dawn on you, because as business owners, especially during this time, you're thinking about that one thing, and that's staying in business with live events. But this is really important for everybody to know. And now, Michelle, we can do business together, and it's really important, because as we're a global world, and business does work like that, and organizations are global, and so you can open yourself to new opportunities that can just be more seamless operationally by partnering with each other. So just as another kind of key takeaway is put that on your list as something to look into if you're looking to work with global organizations, and then how you can leverage the affiliates through what Constance does to help you connect with other suppliers in those other countries. So I think that's really, really key and interesting. And Michelle, have you leveraged that and been able to meet other folks to help pursue growth opportunities in other countries?
Yeah, I was just about to say that how important quite a few clients or potential connections through the MSD network, that's one of the first things that they ask, is how scalable are you? And they want to know sort of how far your network reaches. And it's quite nice, because I'm able to say that I have partners and contacts in the US, whether it's destination management companies, or now yourself, Bonnie. So it's being able to demonstrate that you're not just sort of looking at London or the UK, that you have tentacles sort of pretty much everywhere. I think that makes you much more attractive, because as you said, very rightly said, they don't want to have 4 or 5 different suppliers in different regions. If they can just have one that just takes care of everything everywhere, then you're going to be much more marketable. So yeah, that comes up a lot. Yeah.
And I think, as we talk about this, this is a good transition to addressing the challenges, right? To have a real conversation about this and to come out of it with some great action items, we have to be real with ourselves and talk about some of the challenges that we've had or that we've faced in both places, but also then the problem solving. How do we solve for it? So Constance, tell us about how do you partner and support the local affiliates so that they can better support suppliers in each city? What are some of those challenges in problem solving within that realm of supporting the affiliates?
So again, the national office has 23 affiliates located throughout the US. And then we have 5 global link partners that are in China, UK, Australia, South Africa, and Canada. The issues that arise are all the same. They're all focused on really connecting, capacity building, and advocating on behalf of our businesses. So Nmsdc actually meets with decision makers from corporate America to help them understand and position minority business development, that it is real and it is still needed. Mm-hmm. And we try to understand where their trends are in the procurement area and prepare our businesses to be able to meet those needs. That information is trickled down through our affiliates. Our affiliates really focuses on their region and understanding the demographics of their MBEs and the needs of their corporate members, and providing that access and level of information to the minority businesses to ensure that we are meeting their need either through growth development, training, or just still advocating on their behalf. And so I think that this topic, again, is so relative, because think about all the businesses that are out there, and how do you decipher what is the best of the best? Who is the cream of the crop? And that is what we're having to do. So when you get certified, that's just one piece. The second piece of that is being able to really understand why a corporate member should choose you to do business with their organization. There's competitors out there, you have complementary services. So again, you have to be able to help them understand why choose you. It's still about a need that they have that you are trying to meet, and you have to be able to clearly articulate how you can meet their need.
No, absolutely. And I know some of the other things we talked about when we talk about problem solving and challenges that some folks may face. What is the Nmsdc doing to ensure we're being inclusive of all ethnic minorities?
So Nmsdc is actually partnering with other organizations. You'll see at the national level, we are creating memorandums of understandings with Hispanic Chamber, the Black Chamber, with the Asian Pacific Chambers, in order to ensure that we are involving everyone in this message. Supplier diversity is real for everyone, not just one particular ethnic minority group. And so you'll see that that is why we focus on those 5 ethnicities to enable to ensure that no organization is overlooked, because we know that minority companies and small businesses is really the economic engine of the US, right? That's who's employing individuals, that's who's making bigger and better and stronger communities. And so we need to ensure that they have the ability to do business so they can continue to grow and churn on that cycle.
Absolutely. And I think, so Michelle, some folks on the phone may not be B2B businesses like us. So when we think about some of the barriers or challenges that you've faced as a diverse supplier, not to say that you have to talk to B2C, but because you're also a lecturer and you've done other types of events, it would be great to just explore or talk about some of the challenges that you've faced from a B2B standpoint, but what advice you may give to folks who are more of a B2C event company.
Yeah, I mean, I've always felt that any kind of challenge, you'll always win by shining. Always shine. You're always like in events. It's the same as a salesperson. Is you're as good as your last event, or you're as good as your last sale. So grab hold of those wins, those projects that you've really managed to deliver on. Record it, get it down, get the facts down, get a testimonial, video testimonial, written testimonials from clients. They go a really, really long way. And be it unashamedly, what is it that they unashamedly boastful about what you've done and what you've achieved. I know sometimes it can be quite difficult, but I've actually just gotten over myself where that's concerned. It's taken me a while, but I thought, I want people to know what I've done. I want people to know who I've worked with. I want people to know who I'm working with now and the kind of results I've had. It's not boasting. We're in business, and prospect clients and clients that are going to want to buy from you are going to want to know what you've done. So I think testimonials, profiling, having a really good, clear website that just talks about the projects that you've worked on, the types of clients that you've worked for, being really, really clear about that, and the types of results that you've got, and getting those testimonials will blow any client out of the water. They've got to be mad not to take you on if you're really good at what you do. I know we have that challenge of being ignored or being not invited to the conversation, but if you are put forward, they can't not look at you if you've got really strong credentials.
100%. And something that, comes somewhat free, with social media right now, it is somewhat of a pay to play. However,
absolutely,
consistency is key, right?
Yeah.
So, we can tag as much as
boast away and talk about. I mean, I'm itching at the moment because I'm working on a project, my most high profile project, but I can't really say anything yet because we haven't really announced dates or anything like that. So yeah, so it's about really putting yourself out there and saying, look who I'm working with, look what I've managed to achieve, and getting the clients and people who've worked with you to endorse you. We've got to work much harder than everybody else, and it's that means once we do get those wins and we do get those results, we have to own them, and we have to get, you know, our clients and our colleagues and our teammates and everybody who worked with us to sort of back us up.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
say how amazing we are to work with.
And ask our colleagues to do the same.
Absolutely.
I mean, and, you know, in going back to kind of just being, you know, a diverse supplier, a small business owner, a female business owner, a Black woman business owner, I mean, there's different intersectionalities that you're facing. So how have those intersectionalities posed challenges in growing your business? And then how did you solve for them?
Yeah, I mean, yes, look, it's we're in business, so we know it can get very, very difficult and very, very challenging. Many times I've had white members of staff and people have thought she was the business owner and I was the member of staff. So we constantly face that. And it's always about, no, I'm over here, it's me, I'm Michelle, it's my business. You know, and just kind of being very assertive around that. Yeah, many times I can probably count quite a few times where I've not got business and I can feel it's because of who I am, you know, but you have to just keep going, actually. There will be clients that will want to work with you. And unfortunately, yeah, we are going to come up with those clients that are going to be not even going to want to have a conversation with you. And if they do have a conversation with you, then you may just come short or whatever for various different reasons. I think we just have to keep pushing through, keep putting your best foot forward, seeking out clients that are like this. That's the other thing I do. That's another thing, actually, I must make that point, is once I've been in business for 11 years. So I've got quite a good sense of the clients that I quite like to work with and who quite like to work with, what they look like, what they sound like, their values, that kind of thing. And I just try to look for people like that. I can name her. Her name's Paula Milburn. She's the most amazing client. I've worked with her for 10 years, and I just look for people like her. That's how I tried. I'm not about having hundreds of clients. It's about having 10 or 15 or 20 of the right kind of client that I know that I can retain for 10 years.
And it's
I've retained her for 10 years.
You know,
yeah, because those ones you just go for, that just grabbing at business, they're the ones that end up going badly wrong, and you know, it doesn't really work out. So it's about being really selective about who, and it's back to what you were saying, Constance, about really knowing your value. You understand your value, that client understands your value, and it's a singing relationship. If you've got to work hard to convince them of your value in the beginning, then it's probably not the right type of client for you.
And Constance, you're going to say.
Yeah, I think there's a few points Michelle made and that we really need to hone in on, especially as business owners, is that we have to be unapologetic about who we are and what we bring to the table. We have to know our worth, and then we have to know when to also walk away. Right. And so that not all clients are good clients. And although it may be good to have a particular client on our resume, if it is so difficult for you to do business with them, you are not going to do your best work. And they're always going to find something wrong with whatever you produce. So really, will they end up being a good client for you? Will they really give you the kudos that you're looking for and are the referral that you need if they are such a difficult client? And so we have to realize when we come to the table, the worth we bring and what we can do for that particular organization, and not sell ourselves short. Right. And so that's what we see a lot in this space, is we see suppliers that are, I just want to do business with this name brand, so I'm willing to do everything. But in that, are you really helping your brand, or are you really just kind of defeating yourself? And so I think that partnering with organizations and just listening to other business owners, being in a room with the Michelles of the world, right? With like-minded individuals, you kind of hear their challenges and how they were able to overcome. And that level of encouragement just really kind of helps you understand what path you can go on in order to be successful. So I really don't want to discount having that network of other entrepreneurs with you that's helping you kind of gauge through this journey.
Right. And Constance, I think, so there's two things I want to talk about. And you just said it. One was the network. And so when we go back to those 4 pillars of what the MSDC does is connect, but that's not just connect with companies. It's about connecting with each other as entrepreneurs and small business owners so that we can build each other up and learn how to navigate these different challenges. And another challenge that I think that the affiliations do so well is support within a financial challenge. So I know one of the big issues or challenges that I had starting the business is that I didn't have any capital and I didn't want to take on any loans. I worked very hard to pay off my debt. And so it's kind of a combination of everything both of you just said. If someone wants to work with you, you can actually ask for other payment terms. You can go and work with groups that Constance works with to learn about different ways you can get funding, to learn about how to manage your cash flow, to learn about how to just ask about the right payment terms. Those conversations do happen through procurement. So I wanted to bring that up because I think that's an important challenge that a lot of business owners face. And those do funnel through procurement in terms of how to have those conversations, what you're allowed to ask, and that when folks do want to work with you, terms can be flexible sometimes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think you hit on a few points, especially when we talk about connections, right? So, when it is some hard truths that as business owners, we have to make some decisions and we have to take a look at. One of those is exactly what you said. When you come to the table and you are a new business, you are competing against businesses that have been in the industry for years. And so you may have little to no capital. You may not have any customers. So how do you get recognized? What is it that you do? And I used to tell entrepreneurs all the time, does it really matter if you're doing business with a Fortune 500 company or a large minority business that has over $500,000 or $50 million in revenue that still needs to plan a destination event for their customers, right? So although we all may have storyboards where we want to land that major client, if we are new to business and we don't have the revenue, we don't have the necessary company experience, then it may be that we do business with smaller organizations and to grow our capacity, to grow our customer, to grow our bandwidth in order to be able to do that. And local participation in MSDCs actually allow you those opportunities, that they afford you that chance to do business with some of our other minority businesses in order to be able to scale and grow.
Right.
It also allows you to answer the other question that Bonnie, you mentioned about financial resources. I mean, NMSDC has a few financial resources that are different from some of the government resources that are out there, like the SBA loan and others. Well, we have some similar programs. And so you have to really get engaged, right? Many people look at this and they're like, I am so overly intimidated about all this. That is not a problem. That is really the part of the advocacy that the RMSDCs here are for. We are here to help you understand all of this. Most of them have partnered with other like MBDAs, Minority Business Development Agencies, or the Small Business Development Center to really help you understand how to start having these conversations and looking at those trends and markets in order to help you grow your business. So just stay the course.
Yes.
And ask for help.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to point on one quick thing that you just said with the MSDCs in terms of financial conversations. What I think that sets you apart or sets being an MBE certified through you is that you also partner with a lot with the private sector to bring that education, to bring those different loans and those grants to the table. So we don't have to just look at what's being provided by the government. So we can look at different organizations and brands that we love and want to support to go and help us
Yes.
Go after those grants, go after those
Absolutely.
loans, learn from those business leaders. So I think that that's one of the other really great benefits of being certified, is having access to all of that. So great transition into kind of our last topic before we get into Q&A is, you know, some of this is really, really new. Some of us are starting from ground zero. Some of us, such as Michelle and myself, have been doing this for years. But no matter where we're at on our journey, it's still really a challenge to get beyond the supplier portal page and into an actual viable RFP opportunity. So for those of the folks who are on the phone who are new, Constance, could you go first and tell us a little bit about the process of being certified, and then maybe an insight that you may have to the process of getting in front of that buyer at a corporation?
Yeah, sure. So the certification process is pretty consistent across the board, regardless to if you're in San Juan or Seattle. You would apply with our certification at our regional affiliate. Like I mentioned earlier, it's 23 of us located throughout the network. In order to certify you in your company headquarters, we take a look at really 5 different things in order to ensure certification. It's you have to be at least 51% owned, managed, and controlled by ethnic minority who's a U.S. citizen. It must be a for-profit business and an independent business, and you must have expertise in the functional mission of your business. So that's really the criteria we have for certification. You can work with our regional affiliates. Most of them have a pre-certification workshop that they're doing electronically now in order to really assist those firms in getting certified. And then they'll walk you through step by step that particular process. Once you get certified, most of the regional councils have post-certification workshops, which really walks you through what to do next. Now that I'm certified, how do I use this piece of paper to really help me get in front of my potential clients? Some of that is having a very difficult conversation with you to say, are you ready to get in front of the client, right? So everybody in business may not be procurement ready. And so the council is really there to help you understand what that means, and then to make introductions and facilitate those relationships with those corporations.
Wonderful. And Michelle, I want to transition just quickly into playing off of that. And when we look at supplier diversity from the corporate to us supplier side, what about within your own organization? What are some tips to taking on supplier diversity across your teams?
I think just it's got to be networking, being part of different networks. That helps, using social media. Having been a lecturer, I've got the luxury of having quite a large pool of very talented young professionals coming into the industry. So it may be useful to have connections to universities as well that do degrees. You know, there's some they just need a little bit more hand holding, you know, but you're nurturing and developing that talent for your own organization, and it's worth the investment. So developing relationships with universities, I'd say, are really, really useful, whether that's a local university or an overseas university to get overseas students. That's always also good. And developing your network is important, I think. Yeah.
Yep. Wonderful. Yeah. Well, ladies, this is amazing. I want to make sure that there's enough time for everybody to get their questions in. So I'm going to turn it back over to Gwen to go ahead and open up the panel to the Q&A.
So much, Bonnie. So we have a few questions here, so I'll just throw it out. This one's from Maria Castro. As a new business, how do you get past the gatekeepers? Are you seeing more companies joining forces together to offer up multiple services for businesses?
Well, getting past the gatekeeper, I think it's always useful to phone. I always phone. I use phone, and I don't know if it's different to the US. I phone and I write letters. Sometimes letters are useful. In the UK, people are so used to receiving electronic mail that by actually writing letters, you stand out. So that may be a little tip there. I found that I've got through to people because I've written to them, and then I've followed up my phone, and then I've connected to them on LinkedIn. So there's multiple ways of touching people. LinkedIn is very direct. There's no gatekeeper. You're direct to the person. So you can actually message them and get through to that person and send a nice tailored message to them. So if you have 2 or 3 ways of reaching the person, and they remember your name because you've contacted them in various different ways. It's positive persistence, as we said, but in a very targeted way, though. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I think that is one of the pros of COVID-19 is that everyone now is working electronically and working from home, and so that you have a better opportunity of reaching them now and connecting through LinkedIn or some social media format that you're able to get to. And I tell people all the time, be careful of trying to get through the gatekeeper and not allowing the gatekeeper to open the gate for you. It is much easier for them to actually sell you within their organization when you have their support than you trying to circumvent them and going directly to the end user, because at some time that end user is going to go back to that gatekeeper and say, what happened, right? Like, did you know? And then you don't want that relationship to be tarnished. And so I tell people there is nothing wrong with working 2 different avenues at the same exact time. Keeping the gatekeeper, as you say, informed and well abreast of what's going on, while also doing additional touches to other individuals.
Yeah, and I just want to build on that because that is surely key, because that gatekeeper is not only the gatekeeper to that individual. There is a gatekeeper to everywhere, and they have different influence. The other thing is, going back to what Michelle said, conversations like this, put in the work. If you have a goal, it's like your own marketing strategy. Find out where that person is speaking, seek them out via Google and see what articles they've written recently, and then be genuine about it. Reach out to them on LinkedIn with a message that you took from the article that you read, or a key insight from the conversation that we're having today, so that they understand that you actually are paying attention. You're genuinely interested in helping solve their business problems.
Okay, so we have another one. Do you think that MBE's designation is critical right out of the gate, or after you have a few clients under your belt?
I think you can get an MBE certification when your business is ready to utilize the certification. That's going to differ from business to business, right? So some businesses get certified immediately, and they're using it for the resource, the development, and then the client interaction. There are some folks who get certified because a client told them to get certified. So it really just depends on where is your business right now and what is the strategy that your business is going to use after you obtain that certification. Certification is a strategy. It is not the end all. It's not a magic piece of paper that's going to automatically get you business. It is just part of an overall strategy that you have for your business to understand how to utilize this organization to be a benefit to you.
Yeah, I'll just add to that. That's very true. And if you just threw me into thinking where and when I became an Nmsdc UK member, and you're right. You have to think, am I ready for corporate business, and what do I have to offer them? Which is what you said before about the value. So for me, being a new event planner or someone new to the conference business, I might not be so attractive to a corporate. They're probably going to want someone with a solid track record, which is what I was thinking. I have a solid track record, so then therefore I'm much more marketable. So it's about, or you may have a startup product that's very innovative, and you're sort of new to your industry, and it's a cutting edge product that they're going to be the first to markets to experience. So it really does depend what you're offering and what you're bringing as well, and what you think that they're going to want from you.
Yeah. Does the organization think that that's important? going back to
Precisely.
Constance, what you said about working with the right partners that you want to work with. If you want to go after corporations that value diversity and value those things, then my answer would be yes, because that would be that as putting you as differentiating you across the competition.
Mm.
So we have a few more questions. So the next question comes from Debbie, and she asks, what can meeting planners do to better seek out diverse supplier partners?
I think it's no different from what we encourage our corporate members to do. In the region, through regional Nmsdc, you can contact their sourcing or the individuals that they have that connects their minority businesses that are certified to opportunities, and just ask them for the type of suppliers that you're looking for. We have seen so much of that during the COVID-19 session for firms who wanted to pivot and no longer wanted to be able to provide full-scale services like they used to when they was in their office. They started looking, well, how can I integrate ethnic minority suppliers in my supply chain so that I can continue to be a resource to my customers? And so we saw a lot of organizations that typically did not source for minority businesses to start looking for other minority business partnerships in order to kind of look at how competitive they can be within their industry.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The next question comes from Vernita. Have we reached a time where we can start to change the narrative around minority-owned companies and organizations being stepping stones for event suppliers to reach mainstream top brands, meaning white top brands? I'm concerned that we have for so long discounted the excellence and success of minority organizations as not being on par with white organizations, i.e. being a supplier for an Essence, I can say that, Essence Music Fest is less than being a supplier for South by Southwest, etc.
Good.
Yeah, that's interesting. It's an interesting one, isn't it? How would I answer that? I prestige is prestige. Okay, it depends on the market. I do quite a lot of work in Africa, so the client base is yeah, it's diverse. It's white-owned businesses as well as African-owned event organizers. So I think it's about going for the best of the best, no matter if that's what you want, and then being able to sort of showcase and demonstrate a little bit like what I said earlier around the creation of the case study. So, you know, the essence is the number of the subscribers, the size, scale of the events, the turnover. So you see what I'm saying? It's about the scalability of what you've been able to achieve, or where you've taken them from and to, and the impact of the work that you've had. Sometimes it almost doesn't even matter who the client is. Yeah. It's actually about your impact and what you've done to transform them from what they were to what they've become.
So I'll speak.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I think we've made strides, but we have a long way to go. And I do believe that the only way in order to change that is by integrating into the system and showing and delivering our excellence, right? So if we continue to talk about this issue and we're on the outside, there's no impact made with you talking about it on the inside. But if you're in it and you're doing and showing and leading by example, then I think Michelle points are right on target. But you have to be in the game in order to change the game. In order for us to do that, we have to show up, we have to deliver, and we have to be excellent at all times. And so we are actually seeing a lot more of that, but we, you know, look at 2020 and all that we have been through, and you will see that we still have a long ways to go.
So we actually produce over 10 activations at Essence Festival, and we've been producing at Essence Festival for over 4 or 5 years now. So the answer that I would like to give to that is it's education. So when you go to those folks, you let them know that the Essence Festival is the largest cultural festival in the entire US. And that is over South by Southwest, that is over Coachella, and that is over Lollapalooza. So it's about education. And a lot of folks do not know that because sometimes those buyers aren't the ones that are doing their own research, but let them educate them and then give them the data behind it, which is the numbers and the buying power, but also the influence. And that will change. And I can tell you that from my own experience.
Yep.
And we'll end on this
Absolutely.
last question for Constance. We were told this week that some corporates have specifically asked that suppliers do not try to contact them via LinkedIn. What are your views on this?
So I would say that if that is the case, that those organizations may have supplier diversity professionals and reach out to those individuals and ask them, how do they like to be contacted? You know, I tell folks all the time that doing business, the first step in doing business is actually listening and then following up. Right. So if you ask them how they want to be contacted and they tell you, call me at 2 p.m. Eastern time, that means call them at 2 p.m. Eastern time, not 2:01, not 2:05, but 2 p.m. on the dot, right? And so that's actually showing them that you're listening and you understand that what is important to them, that you know how to adhere to that. And so just following up with that supply diversity professional and finding out, if we can't contact you through LinkedIn, what are your preferred methods of communication and how should we contact you? So asking the question will give you the direct answer that you're looking for.
Thank you, everyone. And unfortunately, that is our time, but I just wanted to thank everybody. Just want to thank our fabulous moderator, Bonnie Smith. Thank you so much. And then I also want to thank our panelists today, Michelle Fanus and Constance Jones, for their wonderful contributions today. And also just wanted to thank Giants Enterprises again for helping us produce these wonderful webinars. You know, we'll have information coming out for our next upcoming webinar. We appreciate your time today, and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank
This was
you.
great.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.